Good day! For this video, I will discussing my code for SA2. In this code, I use 7 void functions. Number 1 is the function process name, which has the parameter or conditions of last name, first name, middle name, department, and position. Here, I use the string data type so that the user can use text and so that the program can display text. After this, once the function gets the input of the user, it will display the information regarding the user's name, department, and positions once it is called in the main function. Number 2 is the compute_gp function, which has the parameters of integer numbers of hours worked, rate per hour, overtime rate, overtime pay, gross pay, and deduction. I use the data type integer so that the program will accept whole numbers only. Once the user inputs the information, the compute_gp function will display the information inside the bracket once it is called in the main function. Number 3 is the compute_sss function, which has the parameters of float, deduct1, deduct2, deduct3, and deduct4. I use the float data type so that the user can use fractions and decimals. Aside from this, once the main function has computed the SSS deduction, the compute_sss function will be called to display the computed values. Number 4 is compute_love function, which has the parameter of integer pag-ibig with its assigned value of 100. In this function, once it is called in the main function, it will display the value of 100. Number 5 is the compute_ph function with the parameter of float ph. Here, after the field is computed, the function will display the value once the main function calls it. Number 6 is the compute_tax function, which is the parameter of float tax. Again, after the tax is computed, the function will display its value once the main function calls it. Number 7 is compute_net function with the parameter of float total deduct. Here, after the total deduction is computed, the function will display its value once the main function calls it. After the void functions is the main function. Here, we can see the start of the do-while loop. The codes inside the bracket of the do will continue to restart if the while receives the answer of y. After this is the declaration of my float, integer, and string variables. I have also used the cout to ask the user of his or her information and use the cin to let the user input his or her information. Next, I put an if condition where if the number of hours worked is more than 40, then the program will proceed to compute the formulas inside the bracket. However, if the number of hours worked is not more than 40, the program will proceed to the other formula inside else bracket. Furthermore, I have put the computation for the gross pay and use cout again to display the employee's gross pay. Then, I use another statement to let the program add 5,000 pesos to the gross pay if the position of the user is a manager. Moreover, here is now the computation for SSS contribution, which is guided by the different if-else statements, where once the gross pay is computed, the if-else statements will check which computation is best for the computed gross pay and display it. The same goes for the pag-ibig computation, which is guided by the different if-else statements, where once the gross pay is computed, the if-else statements will check which computation is best for the computed gross pay and display it. It is also the same for the tax computation, which is guided by the different if-else statements, where once the gross pay is computed, the if-else statements will check which computation is best for the computed gross pay and display it. Up next is the computation for the total deduction, which adds the SSS, tax, pag-ibig, and PH contributions and display it. Moving forward, the net salary is computed by subtracting the computed gross pay from the computed total deductions. Lastly, I declare the string again, which I will use to let the user input y or n to the question of do you want to try again. Here, the do while loops role is vital since if the user inputs y, then the program will start and run again. And if the user inputs n, then the program will terminate. Now, I have finished the discussion of my SA2 code. Thank you.